Welcome to today's Explainer. Look, if you're a university student, a researcher, or prepping for big exams like the IELTS or GRE, you definitely know the struggle of trying to sound quote-unquote academic, right? You've probably stared at these massive, intimidating lists of vocabulary words, wondering how on earth you're ever going to memorize them all. Well, today, we're flipping the script. We are completely transforming a potentially overwhelming list of 200 essential academic words into an actionable, highly structured toolkit that you can actually use right away. We're pulling our source material for this explainer directly from the incredibly resourceful Academic English podcast. But here's the real secret to what we're doing today. Instead of just handing you an alphabetical list and saying, good luck, we're organizing this vocabulary to mirror the actual life cycle of writing a research paper. We're going to contextualize these words so they actually stick in your brain. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Elevating your academic English. 2. Framing the research context. 3. Explaining methods and data. 4. Discussing limitations and impacts. And 5. The smart writing strategy. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Elevating Your Academic English, Moving Beyond Conversational English. You know, academic writing really isn't about digging through a thesaurus to find the most complicated, unpronounceable words out there. It's actually all about precision. It's about finding the absolute best word for your specific context. Just look at how simple the shift can be. The conversational phrase on the left this study looks at, well, it kind of lacks authority, doesn't it? It's perfectly fine for chatting with a friend, but in a formal paper, it just doesn't hold up. Now compare that to the academic alternatives on the right. This study investigates or explores or assesses. See the difference? Making just that one tiny vocabulary upgrade instantly elevates your sentence. It literally makes your writing sound remarkably more precise and professional. Moving on to Section 2, Framing the Research Context, Introducing Topics and Reviewing Literature. Okay, so the very first crucial phase of any research paper is defining the problem you're looking at, setting your clear objectives, and citing previous scholarly literature. Think of it like building the foundation of a house. When you're introducing a topic, words like phenomenon help you describe really complex social events, while scope helps you draw a box around the exact boundaries of your research. Then, moving to your objectives, verbs like assess or determine give you a clear, action-oriented goal. And in your literature review, referencing a framework helps systematically structure the ideas of existing scholarly research. You see, you aren't just listing random facts here, you're actually framing a scholarly conversation. And this brilliantly illustrates how these words come together in action. Listen to this. The primary objective of this study is to assess the impact of inflation on household consumption. Notice how structurally sound that feels? It is a perfectly structured example sentence that leaves absolutely zero ambiguity for the reader about what the study aims to achieve. Now, this builds even further when you start tying different studies together. You really need specific linking and reporting verbs. You don't just say another researcher said something. No, you state that they demonstrate or argue it. You connect thoughts with furthermore or moreover to add supporting information seamlessly. And when it comes to making your own claims, words like hypothesize or assert allow you to logically connect previous scholars' findings to the brand new claims that you're proposing. Up next is Section 3, Explaining Methods and Data, Describing Your Research Mechanics. So once your introduction is set, you transition into the methodology phase. This is essentially the engine room of your paper, right? Absolute precision is required here to explain exactly how you conducted the research. For methodology, terms like variable or indicator let you explicitly define what you're measuring. For data collection, you aren't just, asking people questions. You are using a questionnaire or conducting an interview with a respondent. And when you're dealing with all those stats, words like correlation precisely define the statistical relationship between your variables without leaving any room for guesswork. Let's look at another highly practical example. Data were collected from 300 respondents using a structured questionnaire. Honestly, this sentence is bulletproof. By using specific, targeted terms like respondents and structured questionnaire, you bring absolute clarity and rigorous authority to your methodology section. The reader knows exactly how the sausage was made. Now, once you actually have your data, you've got to describe it. When looking at descriptive statistics and comparing your results, words like variance, proportion, and ratio help you neutrally and accurately present your numbers. When you're contrasting survey outcomes, terms like comparable or explicitly pointing out a contrast allow you to analyze the data objectively. This is super important because it stops any personal bias from slipping into the text. And here's exactly how that looks in practice.
Female respondents reported a higher level of academic stress than male respondents. It's clean, it's totally impartial, and it uses clear comparative vocabulary, like higher level than, to present the hard findings directly to the reader.
That brings us to Section 4, discussing limitations and impacts, analyzing results and policy. We're now moving into the final stages of the paper's life cycle. This is where you have to honestly acknowledge any weaknesses in your work, establish cause and effect, and make broad, real-world recommendations. I really want you to notice the column highlighting limitations. A lot of novice writers try to sweep the flaws in their research under the rug, but actually, acknowledging a study's constraints, biases, or shortcomings is a hallmark of robust, highly credible academic writing. Pair that kind of honesty with strong cause and effect verbs like generate or produce, and terms describing evidence reliability like robust or empirical, and you'll build massive trust with your reader.
Just look at this sentence. One limitation of this study is its relatively small sample size. This right here is the perfect example of a confident, transparent academic concession. It definitely doesn't ruin the paper. In fact, it actually makes the researcher look way more objective and trustworthy.
As we approach the very end of the paper, the vocabulary pivots again. We start moving away from raw data and stepping out into the real world. In your discussion, you interpret the findings. For recommendations, you want to use powerful action words like implement, advocate, or enhance to suggest policy interventions. And finally, in the conclusion, you discuss the broad implications or final outcomes of all your hard work. Which brings us to sentences like this one. Overall, the findings suggest that effective policy interventions are necessary to improve household welfare. This strong, summarizing statement leverages words like overall, suggest, and interventions to beautifully wrap up the paper writing narrative and leave a lasting professional impact on the reader. Finally, Section 5, the smart writing strategy, from memorization to mastery. We've covered a ton of categories today, but let's be real. Having a list of 200 words doesn't mean much if you're just going to forget them tomorrow. We really need to shift our focus from the vocabulary lists themselves to an actionable daily habit. So here is a highly effective, totally sustainable strategy recommended by the source material. Please do not try to cram all 200 words into your brain at once. It just won't work. Instead, step 1, choose just 10 words a day. Step 2, write one specific sentence for each of those 10 words. And step 3, immediately apply them. Force yourself to use them in your current assignments, research papers, and reports. By learning and applying in small, bite-sized batches, you naturally move from simple memorization to actual long-term mastery. So, I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. Look at the work sitting on your desk right now. Which 10 words will transform your writing today? Seriously, don't wait until your final draft is due. Pick 10 words, upgrade your sentences, and start writing with precision right now. Keep learning, keep researching, and definitely keep writing.